crazy 3 weeks or so. Wow. Hello. Okay, it's going to be a bit of a random Illustrator session. We're a couple of days before Max London. Exciting stuff there. People are going to be coming along, finding all about Illustrator mastery, getting into the whole advanced grooves, down as an intermediate session, of course, leading into advanced. But if you're coming along, let me know in the chat. Be nice to see you. And as always, of course, something went wrong just 2 minutes before going live this week. The internet went down. I thought, oh, good. Anyway, fortunately, router kicked back in and all good. Although having to do it via Wi-Fi, so we'll see how that goes, because wired is off just at the minute. Okay then. So I'm going to actually start this with the pen tool. I'm going to draw just a simple shape just here. I'm going to go ahead and do that. I can see some information changing out of the corner of my eye, so I'm assuming that someone's chatting away just there. It's good old Sean. Hey, Sean. Such crazy times. There we go. And I want to get an inference from that. There we are. Something like that is good. Perfect. And then I'm going to switch to the selection tool and then straight across to the reflect tool. I think this is going to be a bit too narrow. I'm basically going to select the whole. Oh, why have I got a disjointed segment just there? Let's find out what's going on there. There we are. So O for the reflect tool. And just do that, and then option key down, hit return to create that. Doing good, thanks Sean. Much better than last week when I was just exhausted, man. I was totally exhausted. Yeah. But yeah, this week much better. So right now I am getting my lasso tool just here. So I'm going to tap Q on the keyboard for that, and then go around these 2 points here, but not the one in the middle. Then I'm going to tap S for the scale tool and just pull those out like that. And then I'm going to do the similar deal here. I don't need the lasso for these ones, just going to grab these with the direct selection tool and the shift key and just scale those out a bit like so, something like that. And these ones here, I'm going to move those up, and then the scale tool. Something, just trying to figure out. Oh, actually, that's inwards is probably better. Maybe just out a little bit. Nice. And I think I just need to make an amendment now with those 2 points there. Let's bring those in a bit. That's much more what I want. So, nice foxy shape. Something like that. Say that looks fairly fox-like. And then I'm going to use Gen Shape Fill to get this started. I've already typed in here geometric fox face. There, so let's see what we get. For that from the results. Yeah, looks like it's going to give me something useful. Oh, that's kind of cool. That one's not cool. That one's not cool. I think the first one is actually fairly close to what I want, I think. That works all right. I actually don't want it to be geometric at all. What I'm actually going to do isn't going to be geometric, but I do kind of like that one. I think I'm just going to push that to the side and keep it. Now I'm going to do the same thing again over here, using exactly the same thing. Oliver! Hello! Hi! Indeed a fox. But as I was just saying, I don't actually want it to be geometric. I'm just using geometric because it will give me the basic shapes I wanted. I could actually try fox face. I think it's giving me the same. Oh, that's an interesting interpretation as well. Let's take the word geometric out of there and see what we get. Hi Evie, good to see you. Hope you've been doing well. I read something for you a little while ago and I don't think you were having that great of a time, but I hope you're doing better now. Nice fox emoji, by the way. Oh, you see, now this is actually something closer to what I actually want to do. It's weird that it seems to know that. That is actually frighteningly close to what I want to do. Sort of, but I just wanted the basic. I'm just exploring ideas for proportions more than anything else here. So that's the thing. Surviving. I'm glad that you are surviving. Living would be nicer, but surviving is at least a good start. Yeah. I'm going to need to delete that one because it is actually remarkably close to what I want to do eventually. Anyway, I needed to get an idea started. I've got an idea started using that, which is great. I think I actually ought to pull in some Fox reference. So if I just switch out to Chrome and create a new window, let's have some actual images in here. I'm going to steal somebody's images if I'm not careful. Let's see, those proportions are good. Mine are a bit squished. Maybe I should search Adobe Stock actually. Let's do that. And see if I can use something. Oh, interesting. Oh, interesting. Weird. Right. Yeah. Wacky. I might actually borrow that. Let's grab a preview of it. And then just pop that in here. Somewhere between the two. I like the proportions of this. Slightly better to the shape that I originally drew. But then again, of course, I could easily bend this around. Bit what I want, but I was a bit strong with the ears. But it's still a good start. Okay, so I'm going to drop those onto a template layer. And what I'm going to do is just hold down Option and Command and click on that to send it behind the other one. And I won't lock it just for the moment. Just drop these two things onto that. They're like so. Super good. Now I'll turn it into a template. This one, of course, is on there, but it's not an image. So now I want to draw something. I think I'm going to go with my shape just here. It's going to work better. And I'm going to change my default arrangement here. So I'm going to just draw, I'll just draw a box just for the moment, or a circle. I'm just going to give this quite a heavy stroke. Let's go for the 8 points and take the fill away from there. And then with my selection tool, I'm going to drag that into the graphic styles panel hold down the Option key and target the default stroke or the default style, then I can delete that, because now anything I do, so if I selected, or if I just drew something here like so and filled it with a colour and then just tap D, it's going to go back to my default style like that. Good stuff. Okay. I prefer the nose shape on this one. So it's going to be a hybrid, I think. I'm going to go for the pencil tool. I only need to draw half of it. Just pausing momentarily. Yeah. Just doing my own interpretation of some of these important shapes. That's cool. Just drawing around those. It's tricky without a sketch, but I'm kind of happy that I haven't got one at the minute. Something like that. Gonna need that shape just there. That'll work. There we are. It's going very quiet then. How are you all doing anyway? I know how the Evie's surviving. What about you, Oliver, and you, Sean? I didn't get a chance to ask you this morning because I had a client call. So tell me how you're doing. Right, now I could do a lot of messing around with this, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Astute Graphics dynamic shapes. Oliver is still alive. That's the important bit. It absolutely is. It definitely is. Oh dear. So I'm using this tool here. This is one of the Astute Graphics tool set. This is Dynamic Sketch, and why I like it is when I'm drawing like this, if I just want to trim the end off of something, I just want to be able to hold down a key and do that and have it trim it. And if I trim it in another direction, I want it to join those things together. So I can just go around and think, right, I overdrew that on purpose, I overdrew that on purpose. Yeah, and just do that. And then I can go to these bits here and just, whoops-a-daisy, and just trim these bits up as I go. And it just makes it so quick. But I don't seem to be able to intimate that to the team just at the minute. But look, see how quickly that gets all of that going. It's really, really quick. And I just wish that there was a function of the pencil tool. It doesn't need another tool to be introduced to do it. There should just be another function of the pencil tool where you can just go ahead and hold down a combination like Shift and Option and remove that. I'm just going to double check now. I'm just going to go for the pencil tool. I'm going to hold down Shift and Option and see what happens. Oh, it goes for the smooth tool if you do that. So that's exactly the same as holding down the Option key. Holding down Shift makes no difference at all, right? So given the option, if I go into the pencil tool options, which you can do for any tool in Illustrator, right? You can double click on the tool, right? But it's just, you then have to make your way across the screen to go to the tool to click on it. Whereas if you've got it selected, you hit return and you're already there, which saves you quite a bit of time in doing that. Additionally, while you do have a widget here that you can click on and drag on, you can also use your arrow keys, that's the right arrow there and the left arrow there, to move through those notched options in there. All right, so that bit's useful to have. Anyway, back to the smoothing thing. So I have this particular thing here, Option key toggles to smooth tool. On Windows it just says Alt key, right, but does the same thing, which means rather than going to the toolbox and long pressing and choosing the smooth tool, yeah, I can hold down the Option key, and in addition to being able to brush over selected strokes like this one here, if I wanted to smooth this, can you see that? I can just brush over that to smooth it. But I've also got the smooth and control there as well, which is that's a nice addition to have that. But I'm just suggesting that if I deselect everything just for a moment, to get this functionality, to be able to trim something, they could just go ahead and add in, hold down Shift and Option and have it exhibit that behavior. And I think that would be cool. I think that would be useful. I think people would welcome that. Whoops. The problem I've got there, I'm just going to go into outline mode, is it was very difficult for me to see that overlap. So even that, toggling into, let me just undo that. Right, so you could see here that there's an extra piece of line just there. It's very unlikely it then zigzags back and goes across because I drew it. Otherwise I would be examining it for that just to see. I'd be selecting it and you can see there that line terminates. So that's what I'd be doing. I'd be checking that, but it's just as easy to go into outline mode and then you can see that piece of line just there, and so I can then go ahead and use this tool to just do that, which to me makes sense to do that. So my message here is for my good friend Avinash. If you're watching this, and you are, hi, can we please have that functionality built into the pencil tool, please? So hold down Shift and Option and then it just goes and trims those bits away as you've just seen me do on here. I think people would really like it. I'm just throwing that out there as a suggestion. I'm going to get an email. But anyway, right, so back into the path. So now I need to determine which bit here works for me the best, and I think I do want this to be symmetrical. It probably won't end up symmetrical when I cut it. There's a clue for you what I'm going to do here, but I'm just going to select any one of those paths and then use select similar to select all of those things. Then I'm going to tap O for the reflect tool. This is pretty much in the middle of the graphic that I'm basing it on. So I'm just going to hold down the Alt or Option key and click there to set that as a transformation point. Option key or Alt key down. Vertical is just fine. By the way, this is another one of those dialog boxes where you can move through the radio buttons by using the up and down arrows on your keyboard. You see that? So there's another thing you can do without going and clicking on stuff, because clicking on stuff takes time. Right, Option key down, hit return on the keyboard. Perfecto. I'm going to go back to this tool now, and then I'm just going to trim away the bits I want there. Hopefully you can see how much quicker this is, even with a little bit of zooming or switching modes, look at that, so quick. And actually I can see right down there in teeny tiny. I'm not trying to do my friends at Astute Graphics, by the way, out of any work with this. What they do is excellent, but they've got better things to think about, yeah, than whether or not. Dynamic Sketch is brilliant as it is, but that one little piece of it, and I wouldn't want to mess around with any of the other stuff there from it, which I'll probably use in a minute. But I'm just saying to the Illustrator team, come on. Yeah, something like that. Having to switch to an entire other tool and having to make sure that nothing is selected. You can see this tool doesn't care. Illustrator, I think, should be able to do that. And Nick, if you're watching, I really am not trying to nick work off of you. Right, now I can get rid of that layer just there for the minute. See, that's good shapes there. And I had a reasonable use for that other stuff. However, I now don't like these spiky bits here, so I'm going to get rid of them. I'm just going to subtract that one and subtract that one, or I'm going to try. Oh, it looks like they're not actually joined. So let's do that. Let's join those, and then pen tool and remove that point. Good. Oh, that's why. Look, there's an overlap there, like a big one. What I think I'm going to do is, to save trouble, is I'm just going to snip this at a couple of places, delete what I've got there. Then I'll use this. This is another Astute Graphics tool. Might as well have made it an Astute Graphics session at this rate. There we go. So those things are all okay. I should pan around that really. So here's another tool, right, that you may or may not use, or you might not have even found a use for. Yeah, come on, Illustrator team, that's the thing. How many of you use this panel, the Navigator, which for some reason has come out in a weird big shape, but how many of you use this panel? Right, because this thing, especially if you're scanning through artwork, I don't quite know why it's got all big and uppity about itself just there. Normally it's just like that. There we go. When you're going around artwork, this panel allows you to move around very quickly, and you can check all of those little bits. So you can basically follow the path around. I'm perhaps zoomed in just I'm at 2,187% just there. Let's make it 2,400. let's go for 1,200. There we are. Gives us a slightly bigger box. But that way you can drag this around. Do you use this one? Nope. Well, there you go. Here's one of the many uses for it. It is great for quickly checking artwork because I don't have to scroll in the same way. I can just drag around. I can follow the contours of the paths, or I can go to the bits where I think there's going to be problems, like down at the bottom here. I can check that. Are there going to be any problems up at the mouth and nose? Yes. Look at that. See, found a problem just there. So I could just stop at this particular point and fix those bits just there. So I could use Dynamic Sketch to do that. In fact, I'm going to, because it's just so easy. Get rid of that bit. That's fine. There we are. Now I can just progress around. And of course I might want to do something else to that. It doesn't matter. The Navigator doesn't care. And then just move around following those contours. I know there's not going to be any problems just here. So the next place I think there'll be a problem is just there. And that's all good. Moving around. And I'm sorry if it's a little, hopefully it's not making you seasick. There we go. It means I can very, very quickly, and this is symmetrical, so there shouldn't be any any problems there. There you go. See, Navigator, which I'm using in preview mode, working beautifully. Use the Netscape Navigator. Hello, Hal. How are you? Thank you for your email at the weekend. I'm always excited when I get an email from you, even if I wasn't in a position to respond at the time. Thank you so much. It's really good, and I'll be there, is all I'm going to say right now. Now, another thing I could use here. Right, so let's have another look. I'm going to go back into outline mode. Now, you can see that these things here, these bits of the eye there, are just poking across into the sort of nose line. Let's go back into preview mode, like that. Now, one of the functions you've got there is that the mitre limit is on, and they're set for angles. So the mitre limit is part of what's causing that big pointy thing to go on. So I could go to the stroke and change the mitre limit, or I could change the corner type to rounded, but I actually like given that I might expand these strokes, for might read am, expanding these strokes, and I might want to keep that. So what I could do, I mean, this is actually pretty easy to do, and because it's just one point on each end, I could actually go ahead and select both of those points, like so, and then hit the scale tool and just take them back out and up a little bit if I wanted to. Could do that. Not going to. So the other thing I can do here is, of course, selecting everything now, is the shape builder, which people often forget works with strokes as well. There we go. So if I do that, now that problem is solved. Ooh, I'm going to use the shape builder on the ends of those strokes just there because I drew those badly. Or better still, just use the direct selection tool, get that one, delete it. See, that problem never occurred ever. Now it's fixed. I think at this particular point I'm going to resize my artboard. I'm going to go for fit to artwork bounds to start off with. Up to the top, fit to artwork bounds. Oh yes, because there's artwork over there as well. So I just want this artwork. There we are. That's good. Good. See, even that tool, Shift O, yeah, even that tool, just hit return, you're in the artboard options straight away. There you go. How's it working out for you with the Netscape Navigator, by the way? Is it still good? You're not using the Explorer of Internet? Or Opera? Opera? So good. Anyway, right, so this thing here, I actually want to create another layer for that. In fact, I'm going to delete those things from there. I need to unlock them first, and then let's just drag that to the trash. Let's have a look at what else we've got on this layer. No, just that. Great stuff. So I'm just going to group that temporarily. Well, actually, probably not temporarily. Center it on the artboard. Trying to find the East Pole. So good. So good. Right, anyway, where's my stylus gone? You are so funny, man. Okay, so Now I'm going to change what my default is. So I'm going to draw just a very quick stroke here with the pencil tool, like that. I'm going to change that down to I'm going to go halfway. I'm going to go, no, maybe a bit more. I will go to 6 instead of 8. Then I can go to my graphic styles panel, bring that across, option drag that onto the top of the thing here, which sets it as the new default, just to test. Let's give that a fill, which it currently has. Oh, let's do it using the keyboard. The fill is in front at the toolbox, so let's just use the comma key. There we go, it's got a fill now. But if I tap D, now it doesn't. There we are, super good. So good. Right, let's get rid of that. So pencil tool, and then I'm going to hit return, because what I'd like this to do this time is ultimately smooth my strokes as much as it can. And then I'm just going to draw with these. It's at this point I'd really like to be using the Mirror Me plugin. I'm kind of tempted to do that. Now, yeah, it exists. We've already done enough Astute Graphics stuff anyway, I suppose. So why not throw a bit more in? So I've added a new layer. I am going to go for the Mirror Me tool. Yeah, I could also go for a repeat, but that wouldn't be so much fun. So I'm going to use it. So everything I draw on the left-hand side will now be mirrored across to the right-hand side. I don't need the panel open for that. See, there's so much I could do now if I was using. Let's use the. Actually, let's use that again. Dynamic sketch. Let's turn a few things on. So I'm going to have a bit of a string on here. So let's say, I don't know, 20 pixels, something that 19 is fair enough. Then I've got this option here for accuracy. I'm going to dial that accuracy down here, and then smoothing, straightening here. Okay, so this one at the bottom, how much smoothing it is. So I'll dial that one all the way up, say maximum smooth. And then I've got some options here for weight, go between 0 points and 8 points. And you've got a curve there, so if you wanted to change that, you could do that. And the great thing is with this is it stays live. So there's my string kicking in. There we go. Now if I do something involving pressure, oh, I've got that kicking in. Ah, that's speed. Let me do stylus pressure. I should have noticed that by the graph. Let's try that just here. So hardly any pressure, putting some pressure on. It's cool, right? Maximum smooth. Maximum smooth. Anyway, I just thought I'd show you that because I like it. I think it's good. The only thing is if I delete that, I now delete all dynamic strokes. But anyway, let's just undo that. Would be better. And now I've shown you that, I'm just going to go back to none on here on the pressure grid. Just use all the other things here. So I've got plenty of smoothing. And just in case you're wondering what the string's doing, that's allowing me, in fact, if I go for a longer string, here just for a minute, hello, there we go. Let's do it in another document just very quickly so you can see. Right, once I start drawing, all I've got is this piece of string. Yeah, you can see it's very loose at the moment. So I'm just going to go ahead and make that tight and start to pull. Now I'm drawing and the pen is following the string. If I pause, the string becomes loose again, and then I can pull like so. And then I'll pause. The string's loose. Pause. Maybe change direction. And it makes it so much easier for me to draw. Like that. Which is cool. I'm right-handed, so I'm drawing over the top of my own handedness. I don't know if you saw that, but I reshaped the line at the same time. So that's the purpose of the string. If you're working your way around something, so if I come up to the bottom of this thing here, so I'm just taking my string right to that point there, then slackening it off, and then guiding it around there like so. See? So good. Anyway, that's not helping me with this. And now I can take the string back down. In fact, I'll take it down to 0. I don't need a string at all for this. Not a fan of that. Those corners are a bit iffy. Oh, and also, while I'm there, let's get, oh, it's on the other layer, not to worry. Okay, so we'll draw something that connects to that. That still looks like that's 8 points. It is. Let's just tap D. There we go. So now all of those things, because they're all selected, have all changed. That's good. I might, oh yeah, I keep forgetting I've got the lines underneath. So that's kind of working out all right, I think. From there I'm going to join some of these things up here. I don't like that. Yeah, I'll just smooth that one off just a little bit. I'm not entirely sure about those contours there now. Yeah, but it's making short work of those things. Yeah, that looks pretty straightforward to me. Just there. So now I want to make that an actual thing. I can just go to the Mirror Me panel, just here, and do remove axes. And that's it. Now that is an actual thing. So I can select everything on that layer. And then I'm just going to drag that down onto the layer beneath, which if I unlock it, drag that down onto there. I don't really need this layer, so I'm going to get rid of it. Then I can switch to that tool again. I haven't actually been over to Astute Towers in a little while now. It's got to be a couple of years, easily. Which is just not good. I've got to remember to do each side, switching to the lasso tool there because I've noticed a couple of errant points. Going back to the dynamic sketch tool, doing that one that side, that one that side. And probably a good idea to switch into outline mode and then go around these. Like so. The little S-shaped marker that you're seeing on these things here just indicates that it's a dynamic sketch stroke or path, really. Almost looks like wood, right? That's where you find foxes, apparently, in woods or in my garden. And probably a good idea to save this just now, drop it onto the desktop. Foxy. There we go. Oh man, I did save that into there, didn't I? I did, that's good. So let's do a couple of other bits now. Let's get these two. Here, they are weirdly grouped, so I'm going to select everything here. Now there's a new-ish, I don't know if it's gone through into the ungroup all command here, so that now makes everything up, should make everything ungroup, so these things just now become paths in their own right. So where you've got things like here, I've just found another problem with that line. Can you see that? There's a kink in it just there, so this would be this would be a good case there for the smooth tool. So if I switch to my pencil tool and hold down the Alt or Option key, like so, I'm not brushing, I'm brushing across it with the, there you go, that fixes that really quickly. I'm not worried about the joins on there at the moment. That's something, whoops-a-daisy, that's something there I'll fix later on. And if I needed these to be dead symmetrical, and of course I could just take one and flip it over to the other side, given that I know where the center is. I don't like this shape here, so I'm going to be working, I'm actually going to redraw that in a minute. But those things work. What I want to do now is just turn these, Shift X to swap those over, and I might actually make them slightly larger. So I've actually attached a shortcut to offset path here, so I can get that to where I want it to be. And then I'm going to just make those into a thing. So let me just select that and also that. Oh, I forgot about having both of those things targeted. I'll do that again, this time with feeling. That's great. Right, I forgot I had both things selected. So there we go. I'm just going to combine those. And go to this region here. Drop that in. And just use this as a point of reflection. There we go, like so. And I'm going to get those two things, Command 8, compound path. Those two, Command 8, compound path. And if I need to add anything else into there later, I will. I will. How are we doing? We're good. And I can start to work with some of these. I think I'm going to redraw that one just there, so I'll just clear that on both sides. Then I am actually going to join those together. So I'll cut that bit there because I'm not 100% sold on it. And this bit here I'm going to cut a little bit further up. That leaves me just that bit. Good. Now I know this is going to change the stroke weight on there like that. There we go. Now I'll push that back up. And then change the... Might actually... Yeah, that's going to be a better thing there. And then reflect that. So again, I've got an instant point of reflection in the any of these middle ones here. Like so. That's getting there. This one I want to be symmetrical. It starts to work quickly, doesn't it? Does it? Hello, other people here and watching right now. Why don't you come say hi in the chat? Say hello. Do it. Let me know where you're watching from. Be interested to know. I'm interested to know also, where is that coming from? Ah. Right, so here's, let me just switch to the ellipse tool here. And before I draw, I'm just going to use a red stroke. I'm just going to draw a circle. I'll try that again this time with feeling. And this time I won't let go. There we go. Right, within that circle, look at the path as it comes down here, right? So it sort of sweeps down here, you can see that, and then goes off in that direction. This path comes along, and you would think goes there, but there's a tiny kink in it, which is, I generated that. Right, but there's a tiny kink, and that kink in itself is causing that extra like pointy bit just there. Let's delete that. So that will be exactly the same on the other side. This is where this symmetrical stuff is really easy. And there it is just there. So I'm going to delete that one. This one, I'm going to use the pencil tool and I'm going to hold down the Option key. This time I'll use the smoothen thing from there. Now, if I don't want it to change the whole path shape, what I can do is a couple of things. Firstly, because there's a path underneath it, I've just gone into isolation mode. And then I'm going to use my lasso tool to get just those points. Then go ahead and do that smooth. Oh, actually, it doesn't work that way if you do it from the pencil tool. So if I just go ahead and get those with the lasso, then right click and choose smoothen or smooth, you can see it's only affecting that part of the path. And so it's got rid of that kink really quickly. Double click away from there. I'd like that to join more that sort of path shape there, so I'm going to bring that in, bring that bit in to about there, and then model that around like so, something like that. It's pretty good. This path here, this point here has got to go. The quickest way I would deal with that is to switch to the curvature pen tool, because then you can just get hold of that and delete it, and then just go back here if you need to. Right, now as it was, it's given me that point as well, so let's delete that. There we go. And that sits kind of all right for me. Now I also think that that looks a bit samey going across there, so I'm going to cut it. I think it's going to affect the wrong path, so isolation mode. Don't get any feedback from that path. Again, Illustrator team, that'd be useful right now. Smoothing with the smoother. It's only because Oliver, when they introduced that, I honestly had never come across the word or smooth as smoothen, and to me it was a bit like The Simpsons. It was a bit like the Embiggens thing. It just seemed fake-ish to me. I didn't like it. Anyway, moving on back to the pencil tool. I'm just going to redraw that. There, I want that to be more like that, and then I will smooth that out. There we go. And the difference is doing this way, wherever you make the stroke and also the length of the stroke changes the way it interprets your wishes. Of course, now I've done that, I need to select both of those paths and reflect those over onto the other side. I've got a lot more to do with this, but that's for another time. This one here needs to be removed as well, because that's been applied wrongly just there over the top of that. I didn't delete that one. I'm not thrilled with that finishing just there. I think I'd rather have it finishing there. Steer that around, and then I'm going to switch to the width tool. I'm going to click here, double click here to add a width point, and then I'm going to come down to the bottom here and just expand this outwards a little bit if I can. That's misbehaving. There we go. It's because there's a width point above it, so I can delete that. And then just slide that one along, so till that looks more natural, which I think it does about now. Then I can reposition the point and change the angle. There we go. That looks better. Wibbly wobbly. There we are. Does AI need an Embiggen tool? Yeah, maybe. Possibly, yeah. Yeah. Maybe it does. Okay. What is going on there? Oh, okay, I see. There's still something wrong there, you know. That shouldn't look quite like that. I'm going to cut this in the middle, delete the other bit. And then correct that there. It's another one with a little bit of a kink in it. That's user error, by the way, not that's me, not Illustrator. There we go. Embiggening with the embiggener. I wonder what it would do with it as a prompt, Oliver. I wonder if you went into it and said embiggen the background of this image. So at the minute, that was trying to close just there. I don't know if you saw that. It was trying to close like that. You get a thing saying it's going to close the thing up. And all I did was hit escape, which allowed me to just work with the point itself. So now we can try and put a profile on that. I didn't mean to click that, but I'm going to go with it now. The only thing I might do, because it doesn't really look very natural there, is get the width tool. Where's the most recent width point there? That's good. So there'll be one on the very end here. And then I want one more just here. Bring that in. And actually this one's just a tad too wide. And that one also. Kind of like that. I might actually delete that. I could work my way around. And that is about it for this week for you guys, because I have my production meeting shortly. Next week there may be, hold on, let me just have a quick look for you and tell you. Yep, next week there will be a stream on Tuesday. Yay. Might get the alert that says it doesn't support the language being used. Yeah, possibly. You try using embiggen in a prompt, Oliver, and let me know how you get on. I'm going to carry on working on this later. Production meeting first, then a bit later on I'll do something with it. All right, thanks ever so much for watching. Take care. See you soon. Bye-bye.